ad nauseum Solo. So if you have not seen Solo yet, you're probably not going to because it's not doing very well at the box office, which is too bad because I actually really like this movie. I thought this movie was fun. I thought it had nothing to do with Han Solo, kind of. It had a lot of references to Han Solo. It was sort of a giant reference to Han Solo. So let's start off with the fact that The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are hot, flaming garbage. Okay, they are flaming garbage. I said this after The Force Awakens came out. They murdered my childhood because Han Solo was the coolest character in the original series, and then they killed him for no reason at all. They brought him back just to kill him because Harrison Ford said he wanted to be killed off. So stupid. So dumb. If you're going to do nostalgia play, what you do is you have everybody have kids, and then you have everybody retire off into the distance, and that's it. Okay, what you don't do is kill off beloved characters by making them divorced loser fathers who are flying around in their 67 Durango, and then they come back just to get murdered by their child. Like, that's so dumb. Han Solo was the coolest guy in the galaxy, and you turned him into the guy who abandoned his kid when his kid was like 11, and then he runs around being an idiot. Like, it's so stupid. Ugh. The Force Awakens still makes me angry. So I'd gotten over that anger, and then I saw Solo. And the reason that I got angry after seeing Solo is because, once again, you cannot kill off a key character and then make 3 prequels about him, which was supposed to be the idea here. This was going to be a trilogy. Okay? You don't kill off a beloved character for many of us who grew up on these movies and then say, let me tell you the backstory of the character we just killed off in the stupidest possible way. That's just idiotic. Beyond that, they recast Han Solo, right? They cast him as Alden Ehrenreich, which is fine. Alden Ehrenreich, I thought, I think he's a very good actor, by the way. If you see him in Hail Caesar, he's really versatile. He does a lot of good things. And Donald Glover as Lando works perfectly. All of this is good. There's a bunch of good things about this movie that are call-outs. I'm not a big fan of the newly minted importance of the dice that are on the Millennium Falcon. Like now it's like every other shot in this movie is the shot of the dice to reunite it with the importance of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, which is just dumb. Okay, it was never important in the original movies. I didn't even know there were dice on the Millennium Falcon until I saw Force Awakens and people made a big deal out of it. Okay, like really, I didn't even realize there were dice up there. It was supposed to be like a little joke, I guess. But in any case, if they're going to recast Han Solo, I guess the objection was that we couldn't recast Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher because they were too iconic. And so if we're going to do movies after Return of the Jedi, then those movies had to fast forward to the current age where the actors are, and then we have to work within that framework. But if you're going to recast Han Solo as Alden Ehrenreich, why didn't you, for example, just recast Donald Glover as Lando, Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo? Why didn't you just recast Mark Hamill? Everybody will get it, right? It'd be like James Bond. Okay, so it's just a new person who's coming in, who's playing these characters for a new generation. That's fine. It would have been okay. People would have had a hard time with it at the beginning. I probably would have moaned about it a little bit. And then, if the movie had been really good, it would have been good. Instead, you get the whole expanded universe of Force Awakens and Last Jedi, which are just terrible because, again, you're fast-forwarding 30 years. The rebellion is still the rebellion for some odd reason, and everybody's turned into a loser. Right? Luke's off on a planet being a loser somewhere, and he never had kids, and he never did anything useful. And you've got Rey, who no one cares about. And you got Finn, who no one cares about. And you got Poe, who no one cares about. And you got Han Solo getting killed like a loser. Luke like astral projecting himself and then dying out of exhaustion, which is just ridiculous. And then you got Carrie Fisher, who actually is dead now, and you're stuck because she's dead, right, in real life. So what they could have done, and I think this would have been so much better because I've talked up the Star Wars books before. I've talked up the novels that used to be part of the canon. After Star Wars, after the Death Star is destroyed in Return of the Jedi, there is still an entire empire out there. It's not like the entire empire was on the Death Star, right? They destroyed the first Death Star, and the entire empire was still around. In the books, there's a guy named Admiral Thrawn who comes along, and he starts to reconstitute the Empire. Then you could have had a continuation of the universe. You could have recast everybody, and you could have just continued from there. And it would have been really cool and really interesting. In the books, Leia ends up having twins with Han. There's this whole thing where the twins have the Force or not. Luke ends up getting married. Like, there's a lot more stuff that happens in that series than basically them just hanging out and being losers for 30 years, which is what happens beginning with The Force Awakens. So the point is, you could go one of two directions. Either you could recast everybody, or you could fast forward 60 years and then just don't pay attention to the old characters, because killing them off one by one is a real attempt to use nostalgia to destroy my childhood, and I really object to it. Okay, so that is objection number one. Objection to Solo, the movie, is that the Alden Ehrenreich character really doesn't have much to do with Han Solo. So he has his backstory. I don't think Han Solo needed a backstory. I think they're adding this in an attempt to add to the backstory. The problem with Han Solo's character in this film is that I think what they're trying to do, and maybe they were going to get there with the trilogy, that may never happen now. They're trying to show how an optimistic, sprightly young lad, kind of a Luke Skywalker figure, ends up like Han Solo. So it's not that Han is naturally cynical. It's that Han used to be really idealistic and all this sort of stuff, and then Han became cynical. But this movie doesn't show how he becomes cynical. This movie just has him still being idealistic. Like, he and Luke Skywalker are much more similar than the Alden Ehrenreich Han Solo and the Han Solo that we've come to know and love. Lando is played exactly right. Like, Donald Glover gets that on the nose. The script writing for Han is a little flawed. There are some things about the movie that I love. I mean, the way that they have Han and Chewie meet is really great. Like, that really works, and it's really funny, and it's really good. I think Woody Harrelson does a good job in the film. There's a whole weird kind of SJW side plot with robot rights that I'm not sure if they were supposed to be playing for laughs or whether they were supposed to be playing it seriously. But I don't really have a problem with the movie. In fact, one of the things I liked about the movie is that finally they actually cast a human being as the bad guy, right? Paul Bettany plays the bad guy, and he's actually a human. He's not like a weird-looking creeper. So that's kind of, he's like just a human-looking creeper. So that's kind of good. Emilia Clarke can't act her way out of a paper bag, which is unfortunate, but if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, you know this, which is one of the reasons that Daenerys Targaryen can never end up on the throne at the end of Game of Thrones. If she does, it's a complete disappointment. But in any case, what they really needed to do at the end of this movie, so spoiler alerts now. I really haven't spoiled a lot yet. Spoiler alert now. Okay, what they should have done at the end of the movie is they should have had the rebellion, right? The people who are working with the rebellion accidentally kill Han Solo's love interest, and then you could see why he is so cynical about the rebellion and also why he is cynical about love, right? That would have done it. But maybe that's their plan in future movies, but I'm not sure they're going to do future movies because this movie is going to lose hand over fist at the box office. It's only going to end up clearing about $400 million, which sounds like $500 million maybe with foreign returns. That means that it doesn't break even because they spent several $100 million on the making of the film, on the marketing of the film. It's hard to see where they go from here. Kathleen Kennedy has done a terrible job steering the Star Wars universe. Rogue One was a very good movie. Solo was a pretty good movie. And the fact that they did what they did with Force Awakens and Last Jedi is impossible to get over. It's impossible because now you either have to make a nostalgia play for characters who you killed off in the worst possible way, or you have to make spin-offs about characters you don't care about, like Poe Dameron and Finn Ray. Like, what they really should have done, what they should have done is they should have, instead of relaunching, if they're going to do it Marvel style, instead of relaunching with Force Awakens and Last Jedi, they should have relaunched with Rogue One and Solo, and then they should have moved forward from after Return of the Jedi, or fast-forwarded 60 years when everybody's already presumed dead, basically, and then moved on into the new Star Wars universe. Instead, they decided to capitalize on the nostalgia. It was a short-sighted play, and it has some really negative ramifications for this movie, which I think is quite good. I think that, I've been kind of arguing whether this is better than Revenge of the Sith. I think it's better than Revenge of the Sith on second thought. So my current Star Wars rankings are in order: Empire Strikes Back, Episode 4, Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, Solo, Revenge of the Sith. Everything else is hot garbage. Those are the official Star Wars rankings here on the Ben Shapiro Show. And anyone who disagrees will be summarily fired.